Welcome to Retire with Purpose, a show specifically designed to help you maximize your financial confidence in retirement. Casey Weed is the CEO and Chief Visionary of Howard Bailey Financial, a certified financial planner and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. He's your host on Retire with Purpose.
Hey, I'm Casey Weed, and we believe in retirement strategies that are driven by meaning and purpose. Join us this week and every week as we discuss planning for your best retirement, pinpointing your purpose, building a rock-solid financial plan, and unpacking trending topics that could impact your financial future. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Retire with Purpose, the science of retiring with confidence, the art of living with purpose. This is your host, Casey Weed. Joining me, my great friend and co-host, Marshall Johnson, here with me.
Hey.
And we are here to discuss retirement with you. So if you're at retirement, in retirement, near retirement, you're just seeking that coveted job optional status, you have found yourself a home. We're going to have a wide-ranging discussion today, as we always do. We're going to discuss IRA distribution strategies, some of the most unique investment strategies we have ever utilized. We're going to be hitting on Social Security increases. We're also going to talk about phased retirement with one of the country's, if not the country's, top actuary. I know that sounds boring, actuary, but this lady knows her numbers, and she's going to be sharing some of the latest in retirement statistics with us.
Nice.
And we also are going to cover a conversation we've been having with the families that we work with that we found to be one of the most impactful, if not the most impactful conversation we've had time and time again. We've had every person that we've had this conversation with that's new to our firm has said, wow, this is something that I've never talked with an advisor with. Never thought I'd have this type of conversation. And so you're not going to want to miss that. But first, off the top here, we're going to cover an article from our Weekend Reading for Retirees series. This is an email series. So every single Friday, we release an email. We send it out into your inbox. It shows up there. You open it up, and what's inside? The latest trends in retirement planning that could impact your bottom line during retirement. That could be the latest in investment strategies, the best in cutting edge budgeting software for retirees. And in this case, it is year-end tax planning for retirees. You can sign up to get that email along with my commentary that's inside the email at retirewithpurpose.com. Just go to retirewithpurpose.com, scroll on down. First name and email will get you signed up to receive these articles and my commentary moving forward. This one that we're going to highlight with you right here comes from Michael Kitzes, kitzes.com, one of our favorite, this is our favorite retirement research platform, probably.
A little nerdy, though, right?
Yeah.
It gets a little technical, a little nerdy. That's why we love it, right? It's the engineering side.
Well, they're
of this
perfect for
business.
us to break down for you here on the radio and in the podcast because they are very lengthy, very complex, but very beneficial in the end. And one of our specialties is distilling that complex financial information into actionable items that you can implement into your financial life. And this one is titled Year-End Tax Planning Under the Forthcoming Biden Presidency.
Ooh.
We think.
You know, there's an awful lot of uncertainty this year in 2020, but nothing is more uncertain than what's going to happen with taxes, what's happening with the election. I feel like this is a conversation that we have with nearly every individual I speak with these days is what's going to happen if Biden takes office, what's going to happen to taxes, what should I be doing today as we wrap up 2020?
Well, and one of the core jobs of the financial planner you're working with should be tax planning and making proactive tax strategies come to reality.
That doesn't sound like what I hear from a lot of people. They go, well, my guy doesn't talk about taxes.
Yeah.
Why? I've never had this conversation before.
Well, and that's not always a fault of their own.
Sure.
For most of the large firms out there, they are primarily investment firms.
Yeah.
That is their focus, and their guidance comes from the top down. I know and have many friends that work for large national firms that know tax planning like the back of their hand. I've hired a couple of them over the years, and they weren't able to utilize that knowledge in their practice to benefit their clients because they had a chairman, they had a co-chairman, they had a board of directors, they had layers of bureaucracy that would not allow them to deliver this valuable advice to the families that they work with, and they end up referring that out to a CPA. However, the reality is you need to be working with your CPA in conjunction with your financial planner. The financial planner should be the proactive one that's helping you make decisions when it comes to your bottom line, when it comes to your tax return, and then validating those things with the help of a CPA. And when it comes to major changes in Washington, usually we know we have a higher degree of certainty that this is exactly what we need to do. We haven't had that this year. That's been a major frustration for those inside of our office.
Yeah, normally you have a little bit of clarity once the election is actually passed. But here, we've got a little bit of certainty around the House, but the Senate's still up in the air. And geez, Trump's filing lawsuits here about the validity of the election. So we've got a lot of uncertainty. So that leaves people really questioning, well, do I need to do anything or should I just sit on my hands?
If you're not having a meaningful tax planning conversation with your financial planner, then we can have that conversation with you and help you with some of these year-end decisions, deciphering what this proposal has been and how it's going to impact your bottom line. We do it day in and day out. Just give us a call at 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, and we will provide a free assessment for you. Not only do we have the question over Joe Biden being in office or not, it does appear that we have President-elect Joe Biden entering the role of President of the United States on January 20th. And we have a little more certainty when it comes around the U.S. House. It looks like Democrats managed to hang on to control of the U.S. House of Representatives. A big piece that hangs in the balance, though, is control of the U.S. Senate because of what's happening in Georgia. The Georgia runoffs are not going to take place likely until January 5th of 2021.
Well, that's helpful.
Oh, and that is a huge piece, to figure out, will these tax changes that have been proposed, will they go into effect in 2021 or will they not go into effect until 2022?
Yeah.
If we see that Democrats are able to take those two seats in Georgia, then
that's a big deal.
There's a high likelihood it gets completed in 2021. If not, it's more likely that it gets pushed into 2022, and we don't see as drastic of implementations or implications.
We see some gridlock there with the Senate, then odds are major changes are not going to be enacted, at least for the next couple of years. But then we've got another midterm election coming up where the Senate will hang in the balance in 2022 as well.
Well, and here's the reality. We have been in a Goldilocks tax environment for the last 4 years. You have found yourself in one of the lowest tax environments throughout history. And if you haven't been taking advantage of those things over the last 4 years, then don't miss out on this year. It doesn't matter what happens. There is still an opportunity for almost everyone to implement some tax strategy to take advantage of these current low tax rates. And one of the core pieces here when it comes to the platform that has been proposed, and this is pretty much a staple whenever there is a major change to the tax code, it always kind of circles around this core feature of ordinary income tax rates, those marginal tax brackets that we have. What's that going to look like? And here's another layer of uncertainty. The increases in ordinary income tax rates for taxpayers with income in excess of $400,000 is what has been proposed. So if you have income over $400,000, it's proposed that those tax rates go to 39.6%.
Oh, is that for household or is that for individuals?
Taxpayers.
Yeah, taxpayers.
So it doesn't.
Or may not be plural.
Yeah, is it a line in the sand where that $400,000 level will apply for both singles and couples?
Right.
Or will it be different for both? It has been proposed that it's just this line in the sand. However, I think that's very unlikely because then we're going to see a wave of subsidized divorces in the United States.
Well, and I think it's a good time to point out, too, that this is a proposed tax bill. This is what Biden's been platforming on and running on. He may not be able to get all this stuff done, but it's a proposal and it lacks clarity in depth. So we just can go on with what we know today.
And it's probably going to look a little bit different.
But it's going to look different.
Marshall and I had this discussion earlier about what we think that $400,000 level, it's probably more likely that a married couple stays to that $400,000 level. A single goes to, say, $250,000 for a single. Then they're paying $39.6 on every dollar that they earn over that level. That's a
That's a hit.
It's a big change for those individuals. And so we really want to pay close attention to what happens there. Long-term capital gains tax rates
That's
from
a
the
big one.
current top tax rate of 20%. Throw in the Medicare surtax at 3.8, so potentially 23.8%, to taking those long-term capital gains rates to ordinary income tax rates for those with over $1 million of income.
And that was something that Democrats have been looking at for years. Hillary was running a similar strategy where they wanted to increase long-term capital gains rates because they know they got to find some tax money somewhere.
Well, then you have the elimination of step-up in basis for capital assets.
That is a big one.
That impacts everyone. There is not a line in the sand there, and this is a huge benefit for, most importantly, I would say, those individuals that own businesses or
farms.
Large portions of their assets are tied up in real estate, such as farms, as you stated there. But this is something you may not realize. So if you have a farm today, and let's say it's valued at $1 million, your cost basis is $250,000 when you pass away. The basis of your heirs would step up to $1 million. Now, not only
meaning they didn't pay any taxes on the whole gains from $250,000 to $1 million,
and that led to a huge incentive to hold on to those capital assets,
keep it till you die,
and avoid the tax. Not only are the heirs not being proposed to be able to inherit that basis, but the proposal has said that they are going to make death a realization event.
Yeah, a forced realization.
That means that essentially they're going to treat it as if those assets were sold on the date of death.
So taxes are going to be due, right?
And that just makes this decision making.
Well, what if the kids can't pay they can't pay the taxes? They're going to have to sell the farm that they were trying to keep in the family. I mean, this is a very dramatic change, and if Democrats seize control of the Senate, then we have to watch out for this, because this could be a big deal for a lot of families, not just people with income over $1 million. This is a lot of people.
Well, and there could be a dramatic change more than 39.6. 39.6 has been the proposal, but Democrats have also suggested at various points in recent years that there's potential for even a higher top tax bracket. They've talked about 90% marginal tax rates in the not so
distant past.
Not so distant past. So we have to keep that in mind. Another element for you to be evaluating are the changes to estate tax rates. We could see that we go back to not just a lower estate tax exemption, but we could also see that the tax rate for those assets that exceed the exemption goes up as well. We could see changes to standard deductions. We could go back to a lower standard deduction, meaning that right now we have about a third of taxpayers that used to take
itemized,
that used to itemize, that now only 10% of taxpayers are itemizing. That could go back into that direction as well. So what do you do? Do you defer your income tax deductions into next year? Do you buy tax insurance essentially this year? What do you do about step up in basis? Should you be making gifts to your heirs? Should you be capturing some capital gains right now? Should you be doing Roth conversions? Should you be accelerating business expenses into this year? These are all questions that we answer in our conversation and in this article. You can catch the article as well as our conversation about these strategies at retirewithpurpose.com. Just click on the podcast tab, link and everything will be right there, and make sure you sign up to receive future articles from us. However, there's not a lot of time left. The year is running out, and we've been notified by our custodians saying, hey, you need to get anything in right now because we expect to be inundated with requests by the end of the year. And so you want to take action on this sooner rather than later. If you're not having this type of conversation with your advisor, call us right now and we will give you a complimentary consultation. Just call 866-482-9559. Meet with an independent financial advisor on our team, either in person or through a video meeting from the comfort of your home, and we'll help you determine how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like rising taxes, and also other elements such as healthcare emergencies, stock market crashes, inflation. In short, our team is here to take the guesswork out of financial planning for you. It can take just 30 minutes. So call right now at 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, a comprehensive financial review at no obligation. Stick around because after this, we have questions from John in Plymouth, Cheryl in Goshen, and Ron in Fort Wayne.
You're listening to Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson. This is Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson.
What's up, y'all? This is Casey Weed. Joining me, my good friend and co-host Marshall Johnson, here with you to answer your questions. If you have questions, we have answers. All you have to do is go to retirewithpurpose.com. Bottom right-hand corner of the screen, it says Ask Casey a Question. That's legit. Type your question right in there, and we will get you an answer. If you have anything that's keeping you up at night, if you have any light questions, any light concerns, maybe you heard something from your neighbor or your financial advisor, and you go, is that right? I'm not so sure. Well, go to retirewithpurpose.com, drop your question in there. And if you would like to have it featured here on the show, we will give you that opportunity as well. We did that here with John from Plymouth, Minnesota, all the way out there in Minnesota. John says, when I take a distribution from a traditional IRA, I know I need to pay federal and state taxes on the amount, but do I also have to pay FICA on that amount as well?
Yeah, so Johnny up in Minnesota, Social Security and Medicare taxes is what he's referring to with FICA. And it's a great question. You know, I think a lot of people think, well, I had $100,000 of income while I was working. I probably need $100,000 in retirement.
Yeah, I never thought about someone asking that. Well, do I get that extra 15.3%? Does somebody pay half of it and I pay the other half?
Which is what happens when you're working for an organization. It's a great question, but the answer is no. You do not have to pay FICA on your retirement, the withdrawals you take out of your retirement accounts. It's only on earned income, wage income.
Yeah, well, I will say there is a caveat to that, and that would be that if you take that IRA distribution, you may not pay Social Security taxes on that distribution, but you might have to pay more taxes on your Social Security because of that distribution.
Ouch.
Because that income is factored in to your total combined income. They call it your combined income or your provisional income. And so when you take that distribution, they're going to add that plus half your Social Security, other say tax-free income sources like muni bonds. They're going to add that up and see which thresholds that you cross. And by taking that distribution, that could make you pay as much as 85% taxes on 85% of your Social Security benefits. And we have seen this catch people that were unaware that was going to be the case. And they come in to see us, say, hey, my advisor didn't tell me about this. You know, I want a second opinion. What's going on? Well, there's little you can do after the fact, but there might be some things you can do proactively. Another caveat here is Medicare penalties. Because you took a larger IRA distribution, you're not going to pay Medicare taxes on that distribution, but if the distribution's large enough, it could increase your Medicare premiums as much as paying twice as much as the neighbor next door for the same exact coverage.
Irma gets you.
Yep.
You know
Income-related monthly adjustment amounts is Irma, who's a real pain when it comes to those individuals 65 plus. And so you want to take all those things into consideration. This is why we say, hey, let's do some proactive tax planning. If you have an IRA, if you have a 401k, if you're putting everything in a tax-deferred retirement account, you may be creating a tax time bomb and your biggest liability, your biggest debt when you step into retirement. Let's do everything that we possibly can to eliminate that debt, not only minimizing ordinary income taxes, but minimizing your Social Security and Medicare taxes as well, that could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've seen it save individuals over $1 million over their lifetime by putting together a tax strategy like this. And if you would like to see what those strategies would look like for you, give us a call right now at 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, and we will structure a complimentary financial review when it comes to your taxes in retirement.
Next up, we've got Cheryl in Goshen, Indiana. Cheryl says, what is the most unique investment strategy you've ever implemented for yourself or for a client's retirement plan?
Oh, man. So
That's a loaded question there,
I know.
Cheryl.
It's a loaded question, right? Unique investment strategy. I don't like the term unique investment
most
strategy.
people in retirement
don't
need
worse?
to get creative.
No, creative is
Yeah.
worse. What's worse than that is a unique or creative tax strategy.
Oh, those creative tax strategies just sound illegal.
The IRS is not a big fan of
they don't like the
creative
creative,
tax strategies. But that doesn't mean that there aren't strategies out there that you are unaware of that maybe aren't utilized widely by your average financial planner.
Maybe outside the box.
Yeah,
Does that sound better?
I find that a lot of these strategies in my own personal life have to do with life insurance. Life insurance is a complex beast. Yeah, it is the most complex financial vehicle that you could use in retirement. But with complexity comes opportunity because they're so flexible. There's so many different things that you can do. For instance, I had a couple that were retiring from a local engineering firm, actually an aeronautical space engineering firm, a number of years ago, and they had a huge pension that they had to make a decision on. They could take a lump sum, they could take a joint life, or a single life.
50% survivor, 75%.
They had a bunch of different options. However, it turned out really they were getting a better return on their money by leaving the lump sum there and taking the monthly payout. Taking the single life payout or the joint life payout would be better than taking the lump sum. They wouldn't be able to beat that cash return or that return on their cash if they were to take it out without taking on substantial risk. And these were very low-risk people. When we met, they had everything in CDs. They had about a dozen different banks that they had their cash in. They were not risk takers, but they did want to squeeze every dime of income they could possibly take out of that pension. Most advisors would say, well, just take the joint pension option. If you read a lot of articles online, this is why I send you articles every single week as part of Weekend Reading for Retirees, that email series that goes out every Friday. You can sign up at retirewithpurpose.com. I've included articles on this very topic because most of them will say, most of the talking heads and advisors, they'll just say, hey, take the joint life. You're married. You want to make sure your wife has that income too, or your husband has that income too when you pass away, and it's always there. But you have the opportunity to utilize life insurance as a tool here. What we did was we layered different term policies. It used to be that you could get a decreasing term policy or a decreasing death benefit life insurance policy.
It used to be like mortgage protection and things like that.
You would have $1 million death benefit, and it would just drop by, say, a little bit each year until it went to zero at your life expectancy. Those aren't really viable today. Instead, you have to ladder term policies. And so we had, let me back up a minute. When you look at a pension, you're buying insurance. The difference between the single life payout, the joint life payout, you're buying insurance. If the single life is $3,000, but the joint life is $1,000, you're paying $2,000 a month for a life insurance policy. And when you're 80, it's still costing you $2,000 a month, but you don't need as much death benefit as when you're 60. And so instead, we bought a number of different policies. We had a 5-year term policy, a 10-year term policy, a 15-year term policy, a 20, 25, and then a permanent policy. So we had all these stacked so that the cost of insurance would drop over time, and they were able to get more and more net income every year. And if they died tomorrow, they would leave the pension in effect tax-free to their heirs via the death benefit. That's one of my favorite strategies. Another one that I've used for life insurance, I own life insurance in both of my parents. It offers me some risk protection and a guaranteed return that's tax-free. That's a higher return that I can get, in the bond market today or CDs and more predictability than an investment strategy as well. When it comes to investment strategy, a lot of the more unique investment strategies, or I should say sophisticated, I think, is an options-based strategy. I had a client that I worked with that inherited a bank stock back in the year 2000. And so we met
that's dangerous.
in like 2017, and it had exploded in value. It was the largest asset they owned by far, and they were very uncomfortable with the risk, but they would have paid so much in taxes by selling it. They said, we just can't sell it. So instead, and they didn't want to put it in a trust, so instead we did an option strategy. We put positions in there that would generate income on that position, and they were going to use the income from the options along with the dividend from the stock to supplement the retirement income. And we had structured that option strategy so that if it was executed, if we had to sell some of the stock, we had a budget in place so we knew exactly how much we would sell each and every year. So they're allowed to continue to hold on to the stock that they have an emotional relationship with and a tax relationship with.
Sentimental relationship.
And they were also able to generate income to create their retirement income while reducing their overall risk.
Yeah, I would say the most unique situations we've had usually do revolve around taxes. The more complicated situations tend to revolve around taxes. A situation that I can recall, Cheryl, would be a situation where I met somebody retiring from one of the utility companies, and he had a lot of company stock that he had accrued over time, and it had really added up to be a pretty good sizable chunk of assets. It was about $100,000. But his original cost was only about $25,000. So what we did is we set up a brokerage account, and we did something called net unrealized appreciation, where you actually take the company stock when you retire. Instead of just rolling over everything to an IRA, we rolled the majority of the 401k to an IRA, but we rolled the company stock to a brokerage account, which was a taxable event. Now, why would we do that? The main reason was we were able to pay taxes on the cost basis. So in this example, it's about $25,000. And then the position now was long-term capital gains. This family was such that we were able to keep them in the 10 and the 12% tax bracket for the next 5-7 years. And we were able to sell off that stock over the next 5 years, and he didn't have to pay any federal taxes on that $75,000 worth of gains.
Yeah, if you own any stock, any employer stock inside your 401k, you're going to want to meet with our team before you do anything. Our last question here comes from Ron in Fort Wayne. He says, I am past my full retirement date and not currently receiving Social Security benefits. Do I need to wait for my birthday to get the 8% increase, or can I retire earlier and get the prorated increase? The answer is a prorated increase.
Yeah.
Now it's our turn to turn the mic back to you and ask you a question. On average, what percentage of your pre-retirement income can you expect your Social Security benefit to replace? Is that 40%, 53, 67, 75%? We'll have the answer when we return, along with a special guest, Anna Rappaport.
You're listening to Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson. This is Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson.
What's up, y'all? This is Casey Weed. Welcome to Retire with Purpose, the science of retiring with confidence, the art of living with purpose. And we are bringing you a very special guest to the table that joined us on an episode of the Retire with Purpose podcast. This will be an episode that's going to be released in the not too distant future, episode number 197 with Anna Rappaport. So you get a little preview here. If you'd like to go ahead and check out the full-length interview, all you have to do is go on over to our Facebook page, like the Facebook page. It's Howard Bailey Financial. Check out our Facebook page. You can listen to the full-length interview. Who is Anna Rappaport? Well, Anna chairs the Society of Actuaries Aging and Retirement Committee, as well as the Committee on Post-Retirement Needs and Risks. She runs her own consultant agency and is a nationally and internationally recognized expert on the impact of change on retirement systems and workforce issues. She is also a phased retiree and believes in reshaping the traditional idea of retirement, as well as the transition into your second act and how to make that path purposeful. I love interviewing guests that are either in the retirement transition or have already retired. Robert Laura was one of those that I thought was really interesting, where he was really a retirement coach studying his own retirement. Check out the podcast and other episodes at retirewithpurpose.com. So the first thing I want to share with you from our conversation is what I believe is a common mistake and misconception, which is treating retirement as a long vacation. Anna shares with us why you should not treat retirement as one long vacation.
For me, this is a really important question. And I think you can't vacation all the time, because I believe vacation is a break from what you normally do. And once the thing that you used to think about as vacation is what you normally do every day, it's not vacation anymore. And you still need a break. You still need to go away. And some of the people that I know that are basically just home or doing some recreational activities and don't have any particular activity. They still need to go on vacation and have a break and do something different. And if you just take the thing that, oh, this is the thing I did to relax, this will be wonderful, I can do it all the time now. My anecdotal experience is that that'll work for very well for a while, but 6 months or a year later, it'll be like, this was really fun when I did it as a break from what I normally do. It's not a break anymore. It's what I do all the time. And then it gets boring. And that's the reason too, if you're in a community of some sort, if you don't do anything else, you may be able to volunteer and organize activities in the community, do some things like that. But the things that enabled you to unwind and relax and made you feel good because they were just fun to do, when you start doing them every day, I think there's a real danger that it's not a break, and it stops being fun at some point.
Well, and I have personal experience with this. It has to be a reward. And I saw this with my dad. He retired in his early 50s, and we played golf every day. I mean, I would show up at Tippy Lake Country Club because I worked there. I would have to show up at 4:30, 5 o'clock just to set up the golf carts because they would tee off darn near in the dark, and I had to get ready for them. They'd go out and play 18 holes. Dad would get done. We'd go out and play another 18 holes, and we did this every day. He played golf every single day. Yeah, and as my schedule has freed up, I've been able to play more and more golf. There was a time frame I said, you know what, I'm going to try to play golf twice a week. And after a while, you know what, this isn't rewarding anymore. I don't like playing golf if it isn't a reward. It isn't a treat. You know, it needs to be a reward. It needs to be a treat. The same thing's true with vacationing, for that matter.
Sure.
Just your general vacations. There's something so much sweeter that you're getting rewarded for some accomplishment or hard work that you've had. And one of the things that Anna also shared with us is that it's important for you to check in with yourself. Some questions that she asks herself periodically throughout the year that I really found important when it comes to checking in with your purposeful accomplishments.
So defining who's retired, phased retirement, all these things, there's no clear accepted definition that's used universally.
So it's
And
going to
that's
be a
not-
reboot or a rewire, kind of is what it sounds
could
like.
be. I think it's really important. I go back to passion, that when you get toward the end of the year, every year, that you're able to say at the end of the year, if somebody says to you, what did you do that was important this year? What did you accomplish? And that you have an answer that's, I did something that I think was important. I accomplished something. I feel good about it. And what's that's going to be, it's very different. For some people, they spend a lot of time with their families, and families become very important. Some people continue to work in their fields. They do a variety of different things. But I think it's important to have that sense of purpose and accomplishment.
And that's going to be different for everyone. You know, I think it's much more rewarding saying that I helped 250 individuals, families achieve retirement and elevate the meaning and purpose in their lives, other than saying I went from a 2 handicap to a 1 handicap.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there's something about that. Now you have to define what that is for yourself, and that's why we start our conversations and our planning process starts with purpose. Where do you create meaning in your life? What do you define as your purpose? And then every year we want to go back and ask that same question. Did you fulfill that this year? What did you accomplish this year when it comes to your highest and best use? When it comes to what's most meaningful to you? What impact did you make in the life of your family, your spouse, other individuals, your own personal growth for that matter? Analyze your values and check in and say, what steps did I make in each one of these areas that are important to me? Another question that I had to address here with Anna, she is a brilliant actuary, and I mean, she knows finance like the back of her hand. Her husband's not quite as interested in that same conversation,
Which
to the
tends
level
to
that
happen,
she is.
right? We see that from time to time.
There's usually one of the two that's really interested in building a financial plan. And I said, what would you do? What would your advice be? And we actually had this question come from one of our weekend reading subscribers subscribers. So if you subscribe to Weekend Reading, our email that goes out every Friday, then you have the opportunity to submit questions prior to these interviews. You can do that at retirewithpurpose.com. And one of those questions was, hey, I have a disinterested spouse. How do I get them more interested and more involved in building a financial plan? This is her response.
If you can tell a story in a way that the person might all of a sudden think, oh my God, this could happen to me, that helps to engage people. I think framing of the messages is really important. And this report I mentioned, there's some very nice advice in there about message framing to help get people engaged. But it's very hard if somebody is just disinterested, and it can be very worrisome because there are actually so many stories of women who think everything is fine, and then they either get divorced or they're widowed, and it's not fine at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no idea where to start. So that, but some people are just, they don't want to want to be involved.
Well, I love how she went on there and said, we need to frame the message, frame it for their unique perspective, tell a story about someone that you're familiar with that passed away and this other spouse, the surviving spouse, had to take over the finances upon death. Tell them a story and frame it in a way that they can understand as well. Maybe it's one framing up a story in that way. Maybe it's sharing with them, not the spreadsheets. Maybe it's sharing with them what it's going to help you as a couple accomplish if you're both on the same page. Share with them the positive that comes out of these things. It's all about framing.
Yeah, what is this driving? Is this driving more purpose and meaning to our lives? And how is it driving more purpose to their lives?
And that's what I had to wrap up our discussion here with Anna on. I said, what does retire with purpose mean to you?
Retire with purpose means that you have a life that's meaningful and that you can say, I did something that I thought was important and valuable year by year. And it's a way of thinking about how do you have a good life. And it's very personally identified. Mm-hmm. So it's that sense of internal satisfaction. It's good because it makes me feel that I did something important and valuable. And one of the things about being retired is that when you're working for somebody and you're talking about that performance review, which we talked about, you're using their criteria for the performance review. Mm-hmm. When you're retired, you can use your own criteria for the performance review.
Ooh, I love that.
Good.
You're putting together a checklist, a performance review for yourself in retirement. You had someone doing that for you prior to retirement, but now you're doing that for yourself. And you need to go back and constantly check in on those things. If you're wondering, well, how do I go about this? We have a couple different resources for you. One, we have a world-class webinar with a world-class guest, advisor to Fortune 500 companies and founder of the Family Brand. We did a webinar together that shares with you purpose and meaning, defining those things for yourself. What are your values? What are your passions? We have a worksheet that accompanies this webinar as well. All you have to do is go to retirewithpurpose.com, check out that webinar, or give us a call right now. We have some job optional books sitting here in the office that we'd love to give away today. Christmas is approaching, so we should be giving some gifts to you. Our gift to you is Job Optional. In Job Optional, that's my book that made the Wall Street Journal best-selling books list, as well as #1 Amazon bestseller, and we are going to give it to you at absolutely no cost. So give us a call right now. It'll walk you through, give you worksheets, give you brain teasers, tell you stories about other individuals that have struggled with the same things that you have or in the same position in life that you are. At 866-482-9559, give us a call right now. We'll send you a copy of my best-selling book, Job Optional. That's 866-482-9559. Now, to answer our question of the day, on average, what percentage of your pre-retirement income can you expect your Social Security benefit to replace? 40%, 53%, 67%, or all the way up to 75%? Marshall, the answer?
53%.
53% for the average American. Now, you have to be careful because you may not be, chances are you're not an average American. Okay?
No.
So, and it
If you're
depends.
listening to our show, you're definitely above average.
Yeah, if you're in that maximum taxable earnings, it's about 26% gets replaced. That lower earners 53%, high earners 33%, medium earners 40%. So you want to make sure that you have other income sources. You're creating a stable level of income that can last the rest of your life. And Social Security, it's not as easy of a decision as you might think. If you want to get that analysis done for yourself, give us a call right now. Our team is standing by. We're offering a complimentary financial review right now. Meet with an independent financial advisor on our team. You can do that in person or through a video meeting from the comfort of your home. We'll help you determine how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market crashes, taxation, or simply Social Security. In short, we'll take the guesswork out of this for you. It can take just 30 minutes, so give us a call at 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559. Next up, dangers, opportunities, and strengths. What's that mean to you in retirement?
First-time callers are eligible to receive one in-stock book per request. Limit one book per week per household, up to 3 books per calendar year. See full terms at howardbailey.com/terms. You're listening to Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson. This is Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson.
Welcome back to Retire with Purpose, the science of retiring with confidence, the art of living with purpose. This is your host, Casey Weed. Joining me, my good friend and co-host, Marshall Johnson, here with me. And we are now going to share with you a conversation that we have been having with the families that we work with day in and day out, over the phone, in our office, in virtual appointments, that are helping them to uncover the opportunities that they have right now, the strengths that they have to take advantage of those opportunities and ultimately eliminate their dangers and accomplish all of their goals in their future. This is a conversation that was introduced to me by one of my mentors and coaches, Dan Sullivan with Strategic Coach, and has added tremendous value to our business, to my life, to my family's life. And now we have taken that platform and we have customized it to be used for you. When you come in and meet with our team, we're going to have this particular conversation with you. And we just implemented this a couple of weeks ago. And after the first week that we implemented this, we had our weekly advisory team meeting where we sit down and we talk through the cases that we're working on, the strategies we're implementing, the conversations that we're having. And one of our advisors shared with me, Ryan shared with me that after having this conversation with a gal that was coming in for a second visit, she had already had her initial consultation, getting to know each other, answering her questions, doing our fact finding, and then in the second visit, it's our strategy session. So you'd already, uncovered her current situation, really the opportunity she had. However, she was really struggling with determining what her goals were, what the dangers she currently felt she faced, opportunities she currently had, the strengths she currently had. He walked her through this process, and at the end, she said, I see how different you are. I've never had this conversation with any of the other advisors that I've interviewed, nor the one that I'm working with today. And so we're going to walk you through this. So it has 3 periods. And I actually originally was introduced to a concept that was similar to this in business school.
Yeah, sure.
The SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Yeah. This is a DOS analysis, but it's very personal to you. Now, we found that there are common obstacles and issues that people like you are facing, and those are called dangers. And these are the things that are relevant to you. Now we have a list of these different dangers that the individuals that come in and visit with us are usually facing as they step into retirement. Mm-hmm. You may want to add to this list. Some of those might be just the confidence to spend in retirement.
That's such a good one right there.
Oh, it's huge. I have 2 clients that I called this past weekend, and they had struggled with spending in retirement. Both of them have more money than they're ever going to be able to spend in retirement. And I shared with them that I really dug in and showed them, hey, we need to start spending this. Otherwise, you're going to leave this huge legacy that you don't really want to leave in the first place. Yeah. One wants to give away money to the kids. The other one wants to give away money to charity. Right. And they both want to spend money on things they enjoy. One wants to enjoy, bigger vacations and just the little things in life. And the other one wanted his dream car. And I called him and said, hey, what are you doing right now? You headed down to Nashville to see the grandkids for Thanksgiving. And he said, no, I'm driving around in my brand new Lexus. He bought himself a brand new Lexus RX 350. Now, the review that we had prior to that, he had told me his dream car was a Lexus RX 350. Right. I showed him how to go out and buy that car. And then he was driving around in it. When I gave him a call, I heard his wife chuckling in the background and said, Beth, what's going on? What kind of changes have you seen in Matt over the last several years? I said several years because we've been working together since 2014, something like that. Right. And she said, several years? You mean the last several days? Yeah. Every time you talk to my husband, he spends more money. And
that's just not normally his personality.
He's been pinching his pennies his whole life. Yeah. And this is common with successful individuals that have accumulated substantial wealth. They have been penny pinchers. They're savers. They're good at hiding money from themselves. What our job is to convert that mentality and say, hey, you can spend this. Show them how they can spend this, because it never felt like he had enough. Maybe you feel like, well, I don't know if I have enough. But if we can prove to you that you have enough and we can send you a paycheck in retirement every single month, you'll never outlive. Now you can start spending those things. Buy that dream car. Go on that dream vacation. The other one was he was changing the battery in his car. I said, you're doing manual labor right now, John? He said, well, I'm actually... I'm going to pay somebody to do this for the first time ever because I've never liked doing it, and you've showed me that I can afford to do that. They both have the confidence to spend, and that's a real danger, is not enjoying life to the fullest in retirement.
Yep, we see it time and time again. I mean, the reason you're able to retire with confidence is you were a saver, but that mentality was taught to you by maybe your parents who were children of the Depression and taught you how to be frugal and save. But now it's a real challenge to spend. But it's not something, Casey, where you just show somebody a printout and go, okay, look, you got it. You have to walk with them through this. And I've had clients say to me, well, Marshall, how do I do that? They're so excited. Like, I want to know, how do I learn how to spend with confidence? And it's a process. And by going through our process, you get that confidence that you can do those things.
It could be overpaying in fees and expenses. It could be severe market losses in retirement. It could be healthcare costs. It could be paying too much in taxes in retirement. It could be probate. It could be inflation eroding your spending power.
Low interest rates on your safe money.
Yeah, and we want to go through these things, and we want to find those that are the most pressing to you, those things that you perceive as your biggest dangers, and then we want to put some goals to those. So one, you say, well, I lack the confidence to spend. I'm scared I'm not going to be able to spend in retirement. What's the goal? I want to be able to spend $60,000 a year and know that it's never going to go away, and get the things that I want to do the things that I want to do. Maybe it's low interest rates on safe money. You say, I'm not making anything on my CDs, my bank balances, my money markets, my bonds, and my goal is I want to go from making 1% to making 4%. And I want to do it safely. That's the goal, right? And then we get into the opportunities next. So if we've uncovered these obstacles, if we are able to eliminate those obstacles, what types of opportunities would you be freed up to focus on? And we give you a list of those things. But I want you to come up with those opportunities for yourself, but we can give you an idea of what some of those things might be. One of those opportunities might be that you have the freedom to pursue your passions and live a fulfilling retirement. Maybe it is knowing you'll never be a burden. Maybe it is just simply finally having the peace of mind that you understand your retirement plan. Boy, I finally understand my retirement plan. One of the things we hear all the time is,
that's a real
I
thing.
feel like I'm being neglected by my financial advisor. So maybe the opportunity is feeling valued by a financial planner that you have a great relationship with.
Yeah, having a deep open, honest conversations can really drive home why you're doing what you're doing and bring a lot of clarity to your situation.
Well, if you're able to eliminate that danger of lacking the confidence to spend in retirement, maybe you're able to eliminate that danger of having low interest rates right now. So you have low interest rates on safe money. You say, I want to increase it from 1% to 4%. And one of your top opportunities is being able to retire by eliminating that danger. Now you've been able to increase your returns. Now you can live a fulfilling retirement as well. But in order to do both of those things, in order to eliminate that danger and take advantage of that opportunity, you have to have certain strengths. And we all have strengths, and they're going to be unique to yourself. Maybe one of those strengths is having the self-awareness to delegate your weaknesses. You say, you know what, I just don't know where I can get a fixed 3-4% today. And that's all that I need. I'm willing to go seek help in order to delegate that and make sure that I can actually live that fulfilling retirement and hit that retirement date that I was hoping to hit. Maybe you have a financial team that you can rely on. Maybe you already have a certified financial planner, a CPA, an estate planner. You have those three individuals. You just haven't taken the opportunity to reach out to them. And maybe that's your goal. Your goal is, your strength is you have that financial team. Your goal is to reach out, coordinate those individuals, have a roundtable meeting, make sure they're all on the same page to, in the end, know that you understand your retirement plan and ultimately allow you to spend more in retirement. Maybe you have diversified tax buckets. You have IRAs, you have Roth IRAs, you have cash value life insurance, you have money market accounts, 1099 accounts, you have trust documents as well, you have charitable trusts, you have donor advised funds, you have all these different places you can pull income from that can allow you to spend more in retirement, have that opportunity to spend more in retirement because you've eliminated the danger of paying too much in taxes. This is a powerful conversation that I hope not only you take advantage of sitting down and having with ourselves, but now that you've heard it, this is a conversation you can have with yourself or with your spouse, with your friends. I've been having this conversation with my closest friends, and it's very simple. It doesn't have to be awkward. Hey, what do you fear right now? What are your concerns right now? What are your dangers that you feel threatened with right now in your life? What kind of opportunities do you see that you have right now that you could be taking advantage of if you eliminated those dangers? And what are your personal strengths? Get those things down on a sheet of paper, and that'll show you how to leverage those strengths to take advantage of those opportunities and eliminate those dangers so that you can live a better life. And that's what we're here to help you with. If you want us to walk you through this platform, go through those questions, and ultimately create the financial plan to help you reach those goals, we're offering a complimentary financial review right now. Meet with an independent financial advisor on our team, either in person or through a video meeting from the comfort of your home. We'll help you determine how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like all of these elements we're mentioning: inflation costs, healthcare costs, stock market crashes, rising taxes is a big one right now. In short, we're here to take the guesswork out of financial planning for you. It doesn't have to take long. It can take just 30 minutes to get some of these things down on a sheet of paper and see if we can create a relationship. So give us a call right now at 866-482-9559, a comprehensive financial review at no obligation, 866-482-9559. Make sure you come right back here next week to listen to our next show on Retire with Purpose, right here, same place, same time.
You've been listening to Retire with Purpose, hosted by Casey Weed and Marshall Johnson. Investment advisory services offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities, LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved. Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards, Inc. owns the certification mark CFP and Certified Financial Planner in the U.S., which it awards to individuals who successfully complete CFP Board's initial and ongoing certification requirements. Howard Bailey Financial is a registered trademark of Howard Bailey Financial. All rights reserved. Information is not intended to provide specific legal or tax advice. Howard Bailey Financial nor its advisors are qualified to give tax or legal advice. You are encouraged to consult with your tax or legal professional for guidance on your individual situation. This radio show is a paid placement.